Howard Brown. Welcome to the Modern Sales Management Podcast.
Hey, Josh, thanks for having me.
I'm really glad I'm talking to you. You have a really unique story. Can we start this discussion by taking our audience through your entrepreneurial journey and the types of sales teams that you've encountered that have led you to where you are today?
Sure, absolutely. Well, to begin with, I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I was actually a clinical psychologist. And so my journey began as a clinician, helping people with their family issues, their children-related issues, their couple-related issues. And I saw a market need back in the late 90s to connect people who were looking for help with people who were able to provide that sort of service. And it was the early days for the internet. And the internet was the perfect vehicle to provide an anonymous referral and information for those suffering. And so it was really a marketplace issue of connecting those who could help with those who needed help. And built out the first network of behavioral health related sites and focused on generating content and useful resources. And luckily it was the right place at the right time, and really grew to a worldwide service that was bought by a company called CRC Health, which was a Bain Capital company. And my job quickly became to make sure that we had 33,000 patients on a worldwide basis. And that included building a sales team, a marketing team, integrating all of that data to make sure that the customer or patient really had the best possible experience when dealing with intake professionals, dealing with websites, dealing with the process, so that they knew they were in great hands. That quickly grew into a related service. My grandmother actually needed to find an assisted living home, and that was a really tough service to find in 2005. And we essentially created the first referral service for assisted living homes, nursing facilities. We were the marketing partner of all of those facilities, and we really, another marketplace related issue, connecting people who really needed help with the right services out there. And it was really, really important that we connected marketing with telephony, with the best possible care for the user. So how do we take all that marketing information to make sure we route the right person with that context so that they could have a useful conversation? And so that was really the genesis of ringDNA. It was a lot of people out there that looking for services or help, and a lot of great information from marketing or CRM data. How do we provide all of that to provide users with the best possible experience? So
that's outstanding. I didn't realize that's where the genesis was. So can you take our listeners through what is the layman's way of describing ringDNA? Where does it fit into the business development world, or the marketing world, or even the customer support world today?
Absolutely. So ringDNA essentially is on the front lines with your SDRs, with your BDRs, with your AEs. It is the tool by which reps communicate via the phone, SMS, email. It is the tool that orchestrates their day so they know exactly who to focus on and what to focus on. Because let's face it, there's a lot of information out there. Sales reps have a lot going on, and we orchestrate that for them. From the manager's perspective, they get visibility into their entire team. They know exactly who's doing what, how they're performing against that activity, and most importantly, who do they coach and why, right? As a manager, I don't know where to focus. I got to get lucky by picking the right phone call or the right email. With ringDNA, it's all about surfacing that real-time notification, that real-time moment, so that I know exactly what I need to do.
That's really important. In your view, how have sales teams shifted in the past 2 or 3 years that makes this a kind of a top of mind solution for so many teams?
Yeah, I think probably the most important shift I've seen is from the art of sales to the art and science of sales. It's really about how do we utilize the information that we extract about our customers, about their digital journey? How do we look at sales as something that's truly transforming and apply that information, that data, to make sure that our prospects, our customers, when they have conversations, when we reach out to them, it's contextual, it's sensitive to what they're doing, what they're interested in. It's not just blasting everybody with useless spam. It's really about providing the best possible value. And I think that reps that engage that, sales teams that understand the importance and have a different respect for both customers and prospects are those that are thriving today.
So let's dig deeper on that. If I'm a VP of sales, I have a sales team of 15, 30, 60 people. I'm hearing what you say today, but I've also experienced it where my company's bought a lot of tools. It has a lot of data, but it never gets down to the sales reps in an actionable way. How do you make this data that they never had access to before? How do you distribute it to your team regularly?
Yeah, that's great. And look, most sales reps I met didn't get into sales to be data scientists, right? They're not interested in looking at graphs and reports and data feeds. What they're interested in doing is getting into deals and being productive and closing and winning. And what's most important is that we go from this world where everybody's talking about big data and really turn big data into small data, which for me is about insights. How do I provide insights to the right person at the right time? It's not about looking at a graph. It's not about looking at a chart. It's about going to my inbox or my view and knowing exactly where to focus. It's knowing when my prospect engages with my content or my material or my email. That's a buying signal. That is the moment to notify a rep, not to give them some long story, a bunch of data. It's to let them know it's time to reach out to this prospect, and this is what we talk about.
So what's the biggest hurdle that you see that sales managers, sales, VPs of sales have to get over to bring this type of insight into their organization, where the organization is used to relying on technology and now they need to incorporate process and psychology and just-in-time insights?
Yeah, well, I think that's the great part, right? For a sales manager, they're worried about hitting their daily quota, their monthly quota, their quarterly quota. The last thing you want to do if you're providing sales acceleration is to slow them down. And I think there's been a lot of focus on marketing suites and sales stacks and a bunch of disparate pieces of tools all over the place. What you're really looking for is a tool that does the work for you. It extracts the data. It's one simple tool that you can use for your email, for your SMS, for your phone call orchestration. It can pull data from a variety of those services and provide that insight. So quite frankly, you want a tool that you can run a real quick proof of concept, get a few reps on, and see whether or not they're more effective, more efficient. If you're talking to somebody and they're talking about a long journey to see that return on investment, in my personal opinion, walk away.
Right. The number one thing that we see where you can increase adoption of any tool or data is simplicity. Get out of the way of your salespeople and make it easy for them to access what they need to access and turn it into action.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was with somebody this weekend, brilliant technologist, and he made this point. And it was, at first, I wanted to resist it because it didn't sound smart enough or it didn't sound intuitive enough. He said, the best technology allows human beings to be lazy. And that struck, and that's it, right? Reps aren't lazy, but they should be lazy about getting the information they need. They should be lazy about this process. All they want to do is their job. So provide a technology that enables them to do their job better. Apply a technology that allows them to be better salespeople, to have better conversations, to be better at connecting, building trust and rapport, to understanding what people's problems are. Don't provide a technology that's going to bog them down in process or
Oh,
challenges.
you're speaking my language. We call it natural logical actions. If the salesperson knows where they think they need to go to get specific information, or they know what they want to do next in this process, so make your technology fit that, rather than, you get off a call, go to these 6 different screens, fill out these 9
Oh,
fields on each. You'll lose people, and you'll lose your top talent.
yeah, you lose your top talent, you lose people, and they're not going to use your technology. What you're going to do is sour them to it. And by the way, if you put a product out there today and people don't love it, they're journalists. Everybody's a journalist. They'll go on social media and talk about it. So build a product that's helpful, that's intuitive, that adds value. If you can start there, no matter what kind of entrepreneur you are, you're going to be successful. Focus on the things that provide early wins and provide them often, and you will find incredible fans of your product or service.
So, what are some other misconceptions that you see sales leaders bring to their team in terms of selling in 2020? And what do people get wrong about remote selling? Because I think the conversation was going to go there.
Yeah, so what do people get wrong? I think people get wrong the idea that sales teams, sales reps don't want to have Big Brother listening or watching every step they make. Um, I don't think anybody wants somebody or something watching everything that they do, unless it's going to help them exceed, excel, perform better. Guess what? Yeah, I don't want something that's watching or registering what I'm doing, but if that thing's helping me kick butt, if that thing's helping me to be at the top 5 or 10%, bring it bring it all day long. And I think managers are concerned that their top performers, if you push anything new to them, they'll get afraid, they'll walk away, they don't want it, it's going to mess up what they're doing. These tools aren't just for your B and C performers. Yes, they'll bring their performers up, but your A performers, they want to perform better too. There's accelerators. If they're uncapped, they're making a lot more money. So bring tools that help everybody. Yes, a lot of the revenue is coming from those top performers, but you make them more, you make them fans, everybody will follow suit. And then in terms of remote selling, look, there is a different motion for remote selling than there was going and meeting people at their office, taking them to dinner, shaking hands, having a steak, whatever that motion was. And I don't mean to poo-poo it. It's critically important to build rapport, build trust, to get in front of people. But unfortunately, with the pandemic, remote selling is just a reality we all have to accept. And there is a different motion to it. How you pick up the phone and talk to somebody or jump on a Zoom meeting is very different than scheduling an appointment to go visit someone at the office or meet them down at the restaurant, hang out. It involves a different sort of conversation. And guess what? We're all scheduled back to back to back. I have Zoom meetings every 3 minutes, it feels like. So if I'm jumping on a Zoom meeting and I don't ask you how I can be helpful right away, if I don't get to it, chances are there's a lot of time wasted. There's so many, yes, I have to ask you how you're doing. I have to ask you what's going on. But let's cut to it. We're all super busy. Let's get to the point. Let's add value. I think that sales reps need to understand they're either adding value or they're taking it away. My time is critically important. I want a return on my time. I expect you, Josh, if I'm reaching out to you and I'm asking you for your time, you better get that investment in your time back. So bring value. And that's what remote selling is about. Use these tools, use the research, use the data that all of these systems are providing to add value.
I really like what you have to say about that. Um, we run into, so when you're talking about adoption and getting people to taking, you're cutting through the noise and
Mhm.
distributing your messaging, your tool set to the your entire team, leadership plays such an important role, and it's often missing when we're. You brought it up. It's conveying that these tools are not to crack the whip harder, to monitor you more. It's a leadership motion to say, we are providing you this process and this tool set to help you be more successful. What's your view on leadership and adoption?
I think it actually starts at hiring. So I'll even step back from leadership, making sure that leaders hire the right people. And what do I mean by the right people? Today, I think the right people are people who are coachable. I think it's people who are open to feedback and improvement. Look, some of the best sales reps I know are people who have a thirst for knowledge, who want to constantly get better, find that edge. They're reading, they're listening to podcasts like yours, they're spending time online. They have a thirst. Hire those people. Find those people at all costs. And then in terms of coaching, just because I was a great sales rep or a great sales manager doesn't mean I'm a great sales coach. You have to embrace the idea of coaching, whether you're receiving the coaching or you're giving it. And coaching isn't something you're born with. It's a skill that you have to also nurture. So leaders have to understand that just like top professional athletes, they need to be coached properly. You need to focus on the areas of improvement because everybody has a different area they have to improve. Find out, orchestrate tools that will discover where people need help and find people who believe that they can constantly improve. And quite frankly, leaders need to be open and honest about areas that they need to improve on. So find leaders who are also open to coaching and learning and training. And that builds an incredible culture. And so that's what I find super important today.
It's interesting. I think sales coaching's best friend is data that you can trust. You
Yes.
pointed it out, because coaching, it's not a blanket activity in your organization. It's understanding who needs coaching in what areas, both from a leadership and a sales rep perspective.
You nailed it. Absolutely.
Do you think sales productivity is an underrated metric?
I do, and hopefully it won't be for long. I think productivity is obviously critical. What goes into productivity is really the critical component. So productivity is both efficiency and effectiveness, right? I have to be efficient with my time. I have to focus on the right things, things that are going to set me up for success, but then I have to be effective with that time. So I need to look at both. And I think both things end up making for a more productive rep, more productive employee, just in general. So productivity is, to me, sort of the outcome of the other focus. Let's focus on where you're focusing your attention, your activities, and let's focus on the result of those activities. Let's explore what is making certain activities more productive. Let's focus on areas where you need help. It's just, again, I'll go back to whether you're a doctor and you're looking at an MRI and you have artificial intelligence or machine learning that's essentially looking for patterns, looking for the anomalies, right? I need to focus on those anomalies as a doctor and explore what is wrong with this patient, what looks like it's out of place. Same thing with a sales rep or a sales team. I need to look at the data. I need to look at what's working and what's not working. And I need to focus our attention on those things that will help create a more productive rep, a more productive team, and a more productive company.
Those are really good points. How has machine learning and AI changed sales organizations? Because you are on the forefront of that.
Look, I believe that at the end of the day, data plays a critical part of success. But again, data in and of itself will do nothing other than bog down your infrastructure, your team, and your processes. So, how do we use machine learning and artificial intelligence to provide your first question or your early question, a more productive team. So what machines are great at is processing mass amounts of data, huge amounts, storing that data and looking at patterns, utilizing information, whether it's in your conversations, whether it's in your emails, whether it's part of your process. Are you following the most productive process? Utilizing machines to examine all that. Because look, our brains can't do that. I have a sales team, 15, 1,700 people. What are they doing that's working? What are they doing that's not working? How is a certain conversation about a certain product going to move the needle versus conversations that don't? Only by studying that data can we actually get underneath the intelligence, right? Machine learning, artificial intelligence allows us to look at massive data sets, surface that information, and then test and measure whether or not what it surfaced is in fact helpful. Because let's face it, artificial intelligence is typically built by a machine learning model. That model is typically wrong and needs fine tuning. So let's point the data in a way that it can surface insights. Let's look at the results of the change in behavior and let's process again. It's about a continual improvement. I think modern day sales teams that use this information will help augment their sales teams to make them perform better. This isn't about using AI to replace people. It's about using AI to augment people, to make them more human so that they can focus on the things that make them better.
And that only, in the end, that only serves the buyer better as well.
It serves all of us, right? We're all consumers of something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not, it doesn't make you a more forceful salesperson. It serves you, serves your company, and it's a better experience for the buyer.
100%.
So I want to wrap up today by asking you, if you were standing in front of an audience of CEOs and chief revenue officers and VPs of sales today, what would you advise them to expect their sales teams to be doing differently a year from now? And what should they start doing to prepare for that?
Look, I think we've moved from a product and service economy to an experience economy. Focus on your consumers, focus on your end users, find out, obsess on what it is they need to make your product or your service stand out. Because let's face it, most products at the end of the day are commodities. Somebody else can build it. Somebody else will jump in the space. Figure out how you can bring the most value. Understand your customers or prospects like never before. Pull that data in. Start collecting the data and paying attention. That to me, whether that's a year from now, 10 years from now, or 5 years before, I've always been about focusing on your end users, your customers, what they want, but it's never mattered more than it does today. We're moving into an economy where it's all about that user experience. Provide the best user experience.
What I like about this conversation that it is, we're talking about the cutting edge of business technology and the very basic experience of building relationships and connecting with people all in the same conversation.
Absolutely.
Howard, this was a great discussion. Where can people find you online?
www.ringDNA.com. My Twitter handle is Howard Brown, or I'll see you on LinkedIn. Reach out, love to connect. If I could add value, great. Josh, thank you for having me. Keep running a great show, doing service for all of us sales reps, sales leaders, and thanks again. I appreciate it.
Howard Brown, I really appreciate your time. And that does it for another episode of the Modern Sales Management Podcast.